One key question you need to ask yourself when you do the planning: what can go wrong? Many things could go wrong on a creation project. For those of you that have been through this, things could break, things could not be delivered. There's so many things that could go wrong. Your job is to identify everything that could go wrong, quantify it, qualify it, and decide what you're going to be doing about it. This is dealing with risk management. And dealing in the risk management in our business is the same as insurance company or stockbroker or other people that are applying risk management technique, is to find out from all the potential problem you might have. And a lot of us that have done entertainment and have done production in our own industry, we know, what kind of problem we had in the past. So a lot of the time what happened in the past could come back, but also there might be some new problem that could occur because of new technology, new regulation, new market, new players. So there might be some new problem too. So we got to list pretty much everything that went wrong in other project, or we knew that could go wrong, but we actually did something to prevent it to go wrong. And we need to also look at what else that is out there that is new that could also bring us some problem. That could be a very long list of things that could go wrong. So that means, do you have to deal with everything? You won't be able to deal with everything, that's for sure, right? So the first thing you're going to need to do is to quantify that. Is it a high risk? Is it like something that if it happens is going to be costing a lot of money, or put at risk the life of people, or dangerous, or it's just going to be a problem that we have to deal with when it happens? So quantifying, the impact of that risk going to be important for us. If this happened, what's the impact? And therefore, is this like a big impact for us or no? The next thing we need to do is to qualify it. Is it a low risk? Like, is it something that, there's very, very little chance that this will happen? And, maybe, say we get a flood because there's a tornado. I don't know. Let's say you're working in a dangerous zone. We haven't got a tornado or a flood in 10 years, so it's very low risk, but if it happens, it's got a huge impact. So try to organize these risks. There's a lot of risk management, tools and risk management strategy you could use. I mean, again, you could consult that online. What we do? What we'd like to do, is a combination of listing all the risk. Very simple. What's the probability of these risks? What is the impact? So is it a low probability, high probability, or medium probability? And what's the impact? The impact will be cost, will be huge, or will be time, but not minimum, or would be like safety. So you could list different type of impact that could happen. And of course, anything that is safety will become prioritized number one, and we have to do something to prevent that. And anything else that, would be major impact that, there's a high risk of this to happen. Of course, we would be dealing with that. Anything that come below low risk and low impact, or, medium risk, we might take more risk and prepare a plan to deal with it if it happened. And then in the certain case, we're just going to say, well, we're just going to live with that. If it happened, we'll figure out what we're going to do. So depending of how we qualify it, how we quantify that, we might decide, to prevent it, call that mitigate the risk, where we're trying to lower the potential chance of this risk to happen. We might decide in a certain case, we're not going to prevent it because preventing is impossible. For example, what if it rains? Well, there's nothing you could do to prevent rains, unless you could pray, hoping that it's going to reduce, but that's not an action that you could do to lower down the risk that this happen. If it happened, it happened. So that means you might have a contingency though, which is a plan B. If it rains, we're going to be doing interior shooting in this location. Okay, so that would be like right away, it happened. Okay, this is the way we deal with it. And we had set money aside to rent this place, so we're okay, we're covered. And in certain cases, we might decide, okay, if it happened, we'll deal with it because there's very little chance, and the impact, we're not sure what's going to be, so we'll deal with it at that time. And so different ways of responding. Of course, it would be very tempting to say, let's mitigate everything, let's reduce the risk of everything to happen, but it's impossible, okay? trying to deal with everything, it's going to cost you money, it's going to take resource, things that you're limited, right? So you cannot just throw money in case something happens. So you have to make sure certain risk, there's no way we could take any risk on that one. Anything related to the safety of our cast, safety of our crew, safety of the workers, there's no, we have to prevent, and we have a contingency if something happen. We have medicals on site, we got potential people ready to treat people if an accident happen. But there's some check before the person goes on stage to do something. So there's no potential risk, and there's some check of the equipment before. We have check to prevent any problem, because safety is number one thing in our business. So we don't have any problem. So risk management is important in your overall planning. Making sure you cover all the potential big ticket item with a mitigation, reducing the risk. All the ones that got huge impact, but you can't necessarily mitigate, you would have a contingency, so contingency planning. And the one that you will accept because, there's nothing you could do, or it's going to cost you too much to prevent. And there's, if it happens, the impact is not an impact that we can manage, it's an impact for everybody. So we'll have a bigger problem than just my own program if this happens. So for example, a vendor that goes bankrupt, which is a key vendor for me. Chances are that vendor is also a vendor for some other people, and we might be, I'm not the only one that got the problem. We're going to have to deal with this all together with other people. So we'll deal with it when it happens. So there's certain things that you could work on, certain things you cannot. But the important piece is to have it in front of you. So when a risk happen, or the actual action forecasted happen, and at least it's not a surprise. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we thought about this. What have we decided? Well, we don't have a contingency. At the time, we decided to accept it and deal with it when it happened. It just happened. So what do? Okay, not a surprise, but now we need to deal with it. So risk is definitely part of your planning, and I suggest that there's tools, also templates. I'm going to attach to this section some Excel ways of doing risk. There's no good way. There's course only on risk management. Actually, there's some risk manager people that just do that in their life, managing risk, and they're paid very well, by the way. So it might happen on your project, on production, that the people put the risk manager and they're looking at the risk of your production, the risk for their company, and therefore they will try to make sure that they minimize the risk of you, missing. Because one of the things, the investment in your production could create the risk also for the investors or the company. Let's say you are a company that does video games, and you're investing in that next game to develop that next game. But if for some reason there's some problem with it, it gets delayed, or it doesn't work, or it's got some problem, or once you release it, you get some warranty clause and people get, wants to be paid back, that could create some serious problem for your business. You could even go bankrupt in certain cases. So people might want to take a look at that in order to make sure they can mitigate the risk of impacting their business with insurance and, transferring some of the risk to other people. So there's all kind of strategy that could be done for the risk management. You have to take care of that.